So, girls, welcome.
So this is going to be really fun. It can be such a pressure to date. It's like a crazy story, but for me, this is like...
I was going to church because my parents were
No, maybe.
Hey guys, and welcome to our final episode of Girl Talk.
Come on.
Everybody's like, yeah, come on. It's also a little bit sad.
That is sad.
Yeah, we're going to miss doing these, although we're hoping to do another season, so we shall see. But
bring it on.
just to start off with, obviously we look a little bit different today, a little bit casual.
maybe a bit too comfortable.
Maybe a bit too casual.
Very natural.
But we wanted to do like a bit of a different episode today, and we were going to be talking about first times. Lots of first times in life. So we decided to come in our pajamas, like slumber party vibes, and without makeup, might I add, which, you know,
Oh, yes.
who would have known? Because everyone looks so great anyways.
Got ready faster.
Same, yeah, it's so
Rolled
true.
out of bed. I didn't get changed today.
So, we are talking about first times, and I think this is such a good topic to be talking about because one, we get to tell you a bit about our experiences, our life, from like we're going to be covering periods to first day at school to maybe even first kiss. Like we'll see how it goes.
We'll have a good laugh.
Oh my God.
We will see. But I think it's so important because I think for everyone, when you have a first time, because it is a first time, you're always a little bit apprehensive. You don't know what to expect. I think there's often a lot of like anxiety, maybe a bit of embarrassment with it. And so that is why I'm like so excited about digging into this with you guys. Because
Yeah, I'm
maybe
excited.
our stories will help you be better prepared or help you prepare for
Or if
your
not,
first times.
a good laugh.
Or it's a good laugh where you can be like, yeah, I know what that was like. I had the same
We
thing.
will be there.
So we are going to dive right in and we're going to start off with the topic of your first period.
Oh my gosh. Back to memory lane. I think we blocked these out.
Oh my gosh, yes. So
Trauma.
does anyone want to like kick us off with the story of their first period?
I think I can start.
Yeah.
Mine was a bit dramatic.
Oh, no.
Wasn't everyone?
Oh gosh. I mean, come on. I think we were all dramatic.
Oh yeah, well, but I think it was dramatic, but not that much. Okay, let me tell you this story. So I was around 13. I was at home, so it was pretty chill. Like, I just found out, and then I came to my mom, and I'm like, I don't know what is going on. Well, I know what is going on, but I don't want to believe that it's going on.
Yeah.
And then she was like, that's okay. So we talked, and it was fine. But then it didn't come again for a while.
Like how long is a while?
Months.
Months.
Like 6-7 months.
Damn.
And then it was just like gone. And then we had to go to the doctor, and then we got the appointment, and then it came.
Nice.
So I think it was like, I don't know, it was something like, I don't know exactly what happened, but it was so funny because I was pretty much, and then when I turned, right before I turned 14. But I was like, oh my gosh, it just happened. And then I didn't really know like how it would be. And then it was gone. It was like, okay, I can get prepared again.
Yeah.
But it was just like so odd.
Yeah.
So
That's wow.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think my mom told, I think I was 10 when I had my first period.
Really?
Yeah.
So
So young, I know.
That
Poor
is
me.
young,
Poor
actually.
me. Yeah. So my mom, like, she gave us the talk. Me and my sister, we had the talk. So she said, so don't freak out if you go to the bathroom, blah, 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 blah. So, okay, great. Yes, mom. Go to the bathroom, sure enough. I'm like, I'm dying! I like literally ran out of the bathroom. You, like, going downstairs. I'm like, I just go to the hospital. I'm dying. She's like, no. Remember what I said? I'm like, like literally talking about dramatic. Like running around the house. I'm dying. Oh my goodness. And I was like, I think I told my sister, I'm like, I can't be with you anymore. I'm dying. She's like, oh my gosh. But yeah, that was my first experience. It was great.
Yeah. Mine was really embarrassing. I don't know why. I think, again, it's the same thing like I was saying earlier where, like, a lot of the time your first time for anything can be a bit, like, awkward, a bit embarrassing. And so I think I was probably around 12, like, maybe had just turned 12. And so, again, quite young, because a lot of my friends didn't start until they were, like, even, like, 15, some 16. But I was, like, in the bathroom and suddenly realized and was like, oh, my gosh, like, I'm starting my period. So I went and, like, called my sister in. She was, like, my best friend. She's younger than me, so hadn't started hers yet. And I was like, Lily, like, I told her. And then, classic, this is, like, peachy family. Like my family, this is just so us. Like I'm like, don't tell anyone because I'm kind of feeling a bit embarrassed. I'm like, don't tell anyone, trying to figure out what I should do. She ends up telling my mum. My mum comes in and is like, Naomi, like, you okay? And I'm like, Lily, I told you not to tell anyone. And then she's like, yeah, but like you needed help. And so I'm like, okay, whatever.
She was worried about you.
Yeah. And so then to my mum, I'm like, don't tell anyone, kind of thing. And then obviously like my mum tells my dad, and then within like 10 minutes,
It's like a whole celebration.
Both of my brothers know. And the funny thing is, like, I love their like the attitude and like the heart behind this with my parents. My parents were really big on like wanting to celebrate the different like steps in life that you have, and like they viewed it as like, oh, you start your period, it's like a sign of you becoming a woman, and like we want to like celebrate that, and like that's such a positive thing, which at the time made me feel like really stressed because I was like, I feel like a kid, like tell me I'm a woman.
I'm not ready.
Yeah, and so it was so funny because like to celebrate, I remember we went into like, I went into the kitchen and I'm feeling a little bit shaken up, you know, you're a little bit like, oh, feel embarrassed. And my parents are there and they have like on the table like little glasses of like red wine. Like to celebrate, we're gonna have like a little thing, like little cheers of red wine. And literally I ran to my bedroom and like went into my bed and just started crying. And my dad came in and was like, what's up, Naomi, you okay? And literally I was just like, why did it have to be red wine? And so he apologized and he was like, sorry, we shouldn't have made it a thing. But I was like so embarrassed. I remember it being horrible.
I remember, so I'm a twin sister, you guys know that.
Yeah.
My sister had hers way before me, which is weird because you assume twins. I don't know why, you would just assume it's the same day.
Yeah, I literally
exactly the same time. But no, my sister always did everything before me. She's just like that. And I remember because she had, like, hers happened like in the middle of a supermarket. Like, it was like, and I remember being terrified that was going to happen to me and being like, oh gosh, okay, I just can't go out for the next until it happens to me, like stay in for months. Like, but I forgot about it or whatever. And then mine happened, it was at home, it was super chill. But I remember like going into my, like with my sister and I was like, this happened. She was like, sit down, I'll tell you all about it. It was so nice to have someone else there.
That is so nice.
That is so
really
good.
sweet. But I think I must have been 14. I don't know. I can't really remember. But it was a bit dramatic.
I think, go on.
I was just gonna say, it's funny because actually even things like this, like I remember things like the first time you get, like how old you are when you get your first bra or how old you are when you start your period. They're like really big shaping things, I think, when you're like going from like girl into that whole concept of like, growing up and like becoming a woman. And I remember my sister actually like really struggled with, I had started my period when I think I said when I was like 12. And I don't remember how old she was, but I know that she was definitely older when she started her period. And I remember that being something that she was like really like jealous of and like got really kind of like, not like insecure about, but a little bit like, oh no, what's wrong? Why haven't I started? Like, I want to be like grown up and big.
Yeah.
And I remember always saying to her like, Lily, do not wish this on yourself. Like, I was like, it's gonna happen. Just take the time where you don't have to deal with it, like, and enjoy it. And then when she actually did start her period, she was like, oh yeah, now I get it. Like, she was like, now I get why you're like, don't want it to happen too soon.
I think like I don't know what I want to hear from you guys. So in my group of friends, I was the first one. And I remember going to a sleepover and I thought I like tucked my pads into like the, secret spot.
Yeah.
And it fell out and my friend's like, what is that? I'm like, from my nose? They're like, what? What kind of Kleenex is this? I'm like, special kind. I was so embarrassed. I don't even know why because I was the first one to get it.
Yeah.
Were you, and you guys' group of friends, like were you guys one of the first or like how did that?
I don't remember with my group of friends, but I do remember like, I remember like, like this, you can sign up your child or you can use tampons or you can use a cup or whatever. My friend and I were like, we really wanted to try using a tampon because we were like, we were getting so annoyed with having to do pads or whatever. And I remember my friend was too scared to try it. So I was like, I'll do it first. And like, I remember like, okay, I'll just go in. So we bought some and I went into the bathroom. My friend's talking to me through the wall like, is it okay? Does it hurt? How is it? Like talking her through it as it was happening. So I remember like being the supporter in my group, like, don't worry girls, I got this. I'll do the research. Like finding it out.
So it's so funny when you said that, like it also just triggered a memory, which to be honest, I'd probably like blocked out, which was the first time I used tampons. Is I'd used like pads probably for like I mean, to be fair, I went to tampons pretty fast. I feel like I used pads maybe for a year. And
Yeah,
then I was just
the same.
I think I was at some sort of like retreat thing with other young kids and I didn't bring pads or something. And I started my period and I was like, oh crap. Like, so then I borrowed someone's tampon or something. And it was one of those,
Like,
yeah, someone had,
I'm like, borrowed. I wouldn't want that back.
and it was so funny because you know the ones that are like the app, like they have the application, ones, which are like plastic.
Yeah.
I read the instructions of like how to do it, but I think also in me being a bit like prideful, where I was like, oh, it'll be fine. Like, I don't want to show that I don't know what I'm doing. So like they were like, do you want me to explain? I was like, no, I'll be fine. Like went into the bathroom, and the funny thing is, I like totally did not use it right because it was one of those ones with the plastic, and I just like put it in with the plastic, like I didn't apply. And so I remember putting it in, and it was like an adventure camp that I was at. So we were like going like rowing afterwards.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember the whole time being like, wow, everyone talks about tampons being so great, but I just feel like they're not working that well. And I was like in this rowing thing, and I think I realized that it was like leaking, obviously, because it was like plastic, so it's not soaking anything up. And so then was like, I'm just gonna go swimming. Like, it was awful. I was like, I need to, I was like, take people's advice. Like, go to people and ask them for advice if you don't know what to do, because that was so dumb.
It's not as awkward as you think.
Yeah, I think the first time that I used a tampon, I just got with a friend because I didn't have any with me, and it was at a school, and that was so stressful. That was so stressful. And I never really used before, so you don't even know how you have to be to put that.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally get it. I didn't put it with the plastic, I have to say, but
Sorry,
Well
Naomi's
done.
mistake.
but yeah, it's
I think it was like, so our younger sister, so I have a sister just 1 year under me, and then a sister like 3 years. And me and my sister were like, the one that's year younger than me, we're like, oh man, we got like this, you know, you can get the super size.
Yeah.
We like the smallest
tiniest one.
And then our little sister, she gets her period and she's like super size. And when she comes out, she's like done. I'm like, what? And she's just walking, she's like, what? And I was like, I'm like walking like this. I'm like, oh girl.
And it's so funny because also I even remember like the first time I started my period, like at that young age, I remember my mum taking me to the shops and being like, okay, let's go buy some like sanitary products. And like, did you guys have the same thing where I just felt so awkward standing in the aisle? Like I thought it was the like most inappropriate thing ever that the sanitary products were like in a normal aisle with other things. And there are like guys and girls walking by and you're like there like trying to hide.
And
like
there's so much choice as well. And you're like, I have
so
no
you have
idea.
to spend some time to actually find the perfect one. So
Yeah.
you need to check, you need to read.
I get
Yes.
Well, if you ever like sent your boyfriend to go and get some for you or whatever, like I've done it before. I'm like, he's at the shop. Can you pick these up for me? And he's like, called me like, what the flip do I buy? I was like, okay, let me talk you through this. You need the green label. You need the
Pictures.
Or
Pictures.
I don't know if you guys had this experience, the leaking in front, like in church or something. So like we'd get up, I was like, I felt like, I'm like, I feel like it leaked. I'm like, okay, I was like to my sister in front, I'm like, I'm gonna get up just a little bit and you tell me. So I get up, she's like, oh girl. I was like, okay. So I'm like, give me your coat. I need to get out of church.
Yeah.
Oh, that was probably the most embarrassing, but whatever.
Yeah, seriously. And it's funny because I even remember going shopping and like when you could see the like, even if it was like pads, like you could see the packaging through the bag. Do you know what I mean? When you have plastic bags,
yeah.
I would be so embarrassed. And I'd be like, can I get like other bags?
I feel like
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
so-
And I don't know. I'm like, why are we so embarrassed about that? Because it's like so normal.
Yeah.
It's so normal.
you go through that every month.
Yeah.
Or like one time I ran out and one of my brothers was in town and I was like, can you pick me up? He's like, I ain't doing that. That's weird.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
please do.
And what about buying the first bra?
Oh, yeah. I honestly can't remember when I first got my
can't
first
remember
bra.
Oh, I remember mine. I didn't buy it myself. My mum wrapped it up for Christmas. Like me and my sister both got like a matching underwear set. And I was just like, the flip? Like, and I thought it was like, because it was like a matching set. It wasn't like, you know, I can't remember how old I was, but I remember wearing it and being like, this is the worst. Do I have to do this for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
Like, is this what being a woman is? I'm so uncomfortable and like just hating it. And it took me so long to get used to it.
I remember like talking about bra, like I remember like when I was younger, I would look at the women, I'm like, I want boobs. So I would stuff oranges in my, I went to church one time, stuffed orange, and Mom's like,
being the place you want to have.
My sister's like, what is that? And I'm like, story about it. I don't know.
She's like early developer.
I don't know why she was so hard, but I was just went there, and then my sister's like, "Are you?" I'm like, "Shh, don't tell mom." She's like, "I think she's gonna notice."
Yeah.
And then, because I said to you, like, I developed really young, and so then when my actual boobs came in, I'm like, "Oh, I don't want this. I don't want this." And I'm like, "Oh, it was a hot mess."
Yeah. And isn't it funny, even with things like that, where it's like we always want the thing that we don't have?
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like that's for everyone.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I remember, like, when I was younger, I was like a bit heavier. And so my like cup size was like much bigger than it is nowadays. And I remember hating like having like larger boobs. Like, I was like, I hate it. And then all of my friends who like had really like kind of like flatter chests were like, well, I want that. Like, and it's funny, I was like, everyone, it's like, the whole thing of like the green is grass on the other side is just so true. Like generally like until you get older and you become, I think, come to a place where you're like, okay, I embrace it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I remember when everyone was getting their bras at the beginning, do you know, like, you'd literally be like size like AAA, but you'd get the like extra padded like bras.
I never did.
Push up.
And I was like,
I never wanted a push-up one. I never tried. I don't know why. Just like, I don't like, my sister, bless. I'm sorry if you watch this. She would always want to like look bigger, so she'd always stuff them or have like or something like that, and I'd be like, I don't get it. Like, I just really didn't care. Like, I never wanted it to be bigger.
Yeah, I was always a big fan of the comfortable.
Yeah.
So whatever makes me feel comfortable, that's what I'm going for. And I you know, like the iron thing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I can't.
Yeah.
No, I wear them.
That
Right?
is too much for me. That's painful.
Poor souls, I went through a lot.
Yeah, totally.
Like I did the push up, and I was like, and then at the end of the day, when you take it off, you're like, why?
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah. Next one though, like another hot topic, I'd say. First kiss.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's go there.
I can go because mine. I don't know. Mine was. I haven't got a long story with it, but I remember it distinctly. I remember all the feelings and everything. My first boyfriend, I was 14.
Ben's like, I'm living in it now.
I'm picturing it. My first boyfriend, he was 14. I only kind of dated him because he was the only he's like the first person to ask me out. So I was like, sure. I didn't really like him. He asked me out like in IT, but I remember like it was a couple
In
of,
IT.
In IT, yeah. We were a couple of weeks like into our relationship. This is like, it was a fun relationship. It wasn't really my first proper one.
Yeah.
And we went for a walk behind the field where the science labs were. Ooh. And like we held hands, which was like totally a big deal.
Like totally, guys.
So we were walking, we stood underneath a tree, and then we were just kind of awkwardly looking, and I was just like, my heart was going crazy. I was like, oh my gosh, he's gonna kiss me. And I was like, I don't want to kiss him, but I was like, I kind of
Wait, how did you know he was going to kiss you?
because you know you can kind of tell with the guy because they kind of look at you and they're kind of just standing there, not saying anything, getting closer, like they kind of like hold your hand a bit or whatever. But it was, I didn't really like him. It was my first relationship. There was no love or anything. And he just kind of went in to kiss me. So I was like, okay, this is happening. And so we kissed. And I remember like, I have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
I was like, we kissed. It wasn't like a super intense kiss. Like it wasn't like a big deal. But I remember then like, it was really awkward because he had braces. And I didn't have braces.
I've never kissed anyone with braces, so I don't even
used
know
to
the
have
experience.
braces.
Thank goodness.
I used to have braces and I was so insecure about it because I remember kissing him and thinking this was horrible. And then I'm like, when I had braces and I had a boyfriend, I was like, I must be the worst kisser ever because my braces, and I was so insecure. But then I remember after our first kiss, be like super nervous and like, oh my, it feels like, I don't know, I had this feeling of guilt for some reason. I don't know why. Like it was just like this big deal. So like I remember like, okay, we can't tell anyone that we kissed. But it was totally okay that we did. But I remember my friend coming up to me like, okay, me and this person kissed. Like, just don't tell anyone. She was like, yeah, I know, everyone saw you. And it turns out like so many people had like seen us kiss. And I was mortified.
No, that's awful.
And so like I didn't talk to him for like ages because I was like so nervous. And I think we like kissed like twice after that.
Yeah.
In like our whole big 4-month relationship.
So you kissed one another at school?
Yeah.
So was it then like the talk of the town for a while? Like everyone was chatting about it?
Like I wasn't like in a crowd where there was a lot of people. Like at school I wasn't a popular kid. Like I had like a group, but no one really cared. But like we were all in the same friendship group, so it's like my friends were talking about it, but no one really cared that much. I just thought it was a big deal. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, I had my first kisses.
Yeah, especially if you were like unsure about whether you're doing it right, and then it's like, oh, all these people
And then
are
you
seeing
have
me
people
kissing.
watching you.
Like,
Oh my gosh.
Now, talking about audience. So I had this massive crush. No,
was like, where is this going?
That was traumatizing, I have to say. So I had this massive crush on this boy pretty much the whole year. I was 14 and I never kissed anybody, but I was completely like, you know, he was the guy that I really liked and everything, and I would always tell my friends, like the 2 close friends that I had. But that was a very small school. Like each group would be, each year would be like 20 students. So it's tiny. And then, oh my gosh, so had this one time that my friends were like, you know what, he also likes you, so you guys should go for a walk or something.
Oh my God.
And
Never go on a walk with a boy.
Okay, of course I want to go on a walk with him. So that was like after hours, so we went for a walk, but all of our friends, like my friends and his friends, went for the walk as well, like just steps behind us.
Oh my God.
And then I was like, I didn't want like everybody to be around, and I never kissed anybody, and I was already like on that crush and everything. My husband is watching all of this.
What? You didn't tell me that.
I don't even think I saw him all of this. It's like, that's so much better. Anyways, so then like we just stopped and then we kept talking. And then all of our friends just went around, and then we were like, what is going on here? And then he kissed me, but I didn't know what to do. I just was like, standing.
Wait, so your friends were watching?
I was like, that was so traumatizing. So then afterwards, I couldn't even look at him. So we
That's
stayed
so
like
bad.
weeks not talking to each other. And then I talked to him again. I was like, that was so uncomfortable. I'm really sorry. And he was like, no, I didn't want anybody to go on the walk with us, but that's fine. So I completely lost the crush on him because that was so traumatizing.
Yeah.
That was gone. I couldn't even look at him, but that was so bad. Oh
You're like,
my God.
anything that we could have had is no longer there.
Seriously.
chance.
That was gone exactly in the moment that it started.
Yeah.
That was
I would say I was 14, and I was like to my sister, man, you got to be prepared. You just never know what a boy is going to kiss you.
Yeah.
So I would practice, don't judge me, with my finger. Like, I would just... I don't know. I was like, we should practice. And she's like,
Can we have like an
no,
exam?
I would put my show, and I was like, I have big lips. This can work. She's like, why your finger? I'm like, I don't know. It works in my head. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, so we go to this party, and we're all like sitting in the circle, and we play spin the bottle. So then
Spin the bottle, those days.
Classic.
And then it pointed this one guy from my school, and I was like, okay, this is not bad. He has, voluptuous lips. Yeah, this could work. Are you kidding me? He ate my face. I was like,
How old are you?
I was like 16 or something, and I was just like, and so then after he's like, you like? I'm like,
A lot bigger than a single
yeah.
finger.
I was like, I guess I shouldn't have practiced on my finger. No, I was literally, I just sat there. I'm like, I just want to go home and shower my
I just want to go back to
So
my poor
funny.
face. So that was my first experience.
It's so funny as well with spin the bottle because I was I was definitely the last out of our group age-wise. My first kiss, I think I was 18, like almost
way.
nearing 19. I
my
think even.
goodness.
Yeah, I was like 18. Because I kind of had been like, I don't want to kiss someone unless if I'm dating them. And I got my first boyfriend when I was 18. And it was so funny though, because things like spin the bottle, I remember they would play it, and it was just always that game at the party that I never did, because I was like, the vast majority of guys around the circle, like I would hate to kiss. So I was like, I don't even want to risk having to kiss one of them. Like, you don't want to risk it for the one guy that you might have a bit of a crush on. Do you know what I mean?
I was the opposite. I was like, yeah, I'll play. The chances look good for me.
I was like, probability-wise, I don't want to kiss the vast majority of you.
so funny.
So it was so funny because my first kiss was, I had really liked this guy. He was it was my first boyfriend actually. So we weren't dating at the time, but we ended up dating. And I really liked him. He liked me. I then went through a thing thinking that he didn't like me because one of my friends told me that he didn't like me. So I was like, got over him kind of thing. And so he was like, hey, let's like go to London and spend the day together. And I thought, obviously this is like as friends. And we were doing all this stuff in London. And the whole time, like he kept on like, he was super interested in what I was saying, but he was always like, wow, like, I just want to say like, I really value our friendship, and would like use the word friend like all the time. So the whole day I'm there like, oh yeah, I've definitely been put in the friend zone. Like this is not happening. Like had like closed it off. And then we were like sitting down talking. He ended up basically being like, I like you. Like I would like to go out with you. And we were like, okay, let's like see how we feel in a month and then decide. And I went in to give him a hug. Like we were giving one another a hug. and then like I was pulling away, and he then basically just like kissed me, and I remember just being like, honestly, the first things that were going through my head in that moment, it was like, one, like, I like have no idea what I'm doing. And then the second one was like, I swear kissing is not supposed to be this fast. I literally was just like
In the films, they do it slowly.
yeah. And actually what you said about like knowing the guy was gonna kiss you.
Yeah.
I actually so clearly remember that because I remember like hugging him and pulling away and him looking at me and me literally being there like, you look like in my mind thinking like you look really weird right now. Like
Yeah,
your
so it's
eyes like
weird, long,
glazed
close thing.
over.
All of a sudden,
Like yeah, I'm like he looks really intense, and I was like, is he okay? And then he like kissed me, and so I was very confused.
Wow.
But yeah, it was so funny. And so the funny thing is then after that, like I had no idea because I was like, that does not seem how it was like in the movies. Do you know what I mean? I
You
was like, that
always
felt
compare
so
everything
different.
to the movies. Top tip, girls, don't compare it to
No,
the film.
true.
No.
You will be heavily
That's not
disappointed.
reality, man.
No, literally. And so then I was like, I literally went away and I like went on YouTube. I like didn't know who to ask. I like went on YouTube and started looking up like how to kiss. And literally watched videos where people were like, this is how you kiss. Which I've just learned now like through relationships. I think we can probably all agree that actually every first time you kiss anyone new,
different
like
each
it's
time.
always different and it's
That's
always
true.
kind of weird.
Yeah.
And I think I thought when I was that age there was like a formula of how to do
No,
it.
there's not.
And there isn't.
Because sometimes you'll kiss someone, and I remember like I've had a few boyfriends, and then be like, the guy that I've really loved and been in love with, I was like, he's the worst kisser. Yeah. And then sometimes it would be a guy that I don't even like that much, or like in the past, and I'd be like, oh my goodness, that was amazing. Like there isn't a formula, and there's like no reason for why either.
Yeah.
It's so, and like I remember like this one guy wanted to kiss. You know that thing you can spray for your breath? Before I went to him, like I turned around and I sprayed it right in my eye. I'm like, where you at? I was like, so romantic.
Come find me. Okay, final one before we have to end. I want to hear about, we are just getting like from worst to worst, do you know what I mean? So final one, first breakup.
Gosh.
Let's hear like at least a few stories because I realize we don't have loads of time.
I've got my first, so like this guy, my first kiss, he was my first relationship, but it wasn't serious. Like my first real relationships, maybe the breakups are quite traumatic, so we'll just go for the fun.
Yeah.
So actually, this isn't like, I've never been dumped. I've always been the person to break up with someone.
Same.
As of yet.
Hopefully
Keep my streak. But I remember like we broke up 3 times, like got back together, whatever. And I remember this is so bad.
3 times, I love that.
Both my breakups, I really, honestly, I'm ashamed of how I did it. Because the first one, do you remember MSN?
Yeah.
Like Messenger?
I thought you were saying a girl called Emma Sen.
No.
And I was like, who's Emma Sen?
MSN, I put a status on MSN.
Oh, I remember that thing.
I didn't even message him. I put a status like having second thoughts about That's how I had to find out. And then he messaged me like, what are you talking about? I was like, yeah, I want to break up. And then actually,
I'm shocked.
can I be really vulnerable?
Yeah.
This is going to be like the worst person
Yeah,
ever.
we love that, Beth.
My first real relationship, 3 years, 15 to 18, I Facebook message broke up with him. It was the worst
Do not
move
do
ever,
that.
honestly. Never do it, ever. I learned from that mistake so much. That's one of my biggest guilts is that I did it because I just didn't have the guts to break up with him in real life. Like I couldn't do it. So I just had to message him and I've always been my biggest regret. And like the respect I lost from him and half my friends for doing that was so bad.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Do not do it online.
never do it on social media. Always do it in person.
I just feel like I so get that because if you're like nervous about having to talk to them face to face and you're like, will I even be able to like go through with it if I talk to them face to face? Like I get why people do it over like the phone or over Messenger.
Be brave. Be
But
brave.
then, but then I'm like, but when you're on the receiving end, I feel like that is just the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
I feel so
that-
bad.
Yeah,
Lord, forgive me.
I had
I think
It's okay.
my first boyfriend, we were living in different towns and then I moved to a different state. So when I broke up with him, I had no way that could be in person.
Yeah.
So I called him to break up. And that was the worst because that was really hard for me. Like my first relationship, I was 16, so I was very mature. He was very jealous, and that was really intense in many ways.
Yeah.
So I remember that I was crying in the phone, breaking up with him, and it was like, why are you breaking up with me? And at the same time, you're crying. It was like, because it took me a lot to actually break up with you. It's not the simple.
It does take a lot.
It's hard.
Even if you know that is not the right person and things are not going well, that doesn't mean that it will make it easier.
Yeah.
Because I spent like 10 months, maybe, it was close to a year in a relationship.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of things happening and everything. So that was really hard for me. But then when I took... And then he didn't want to break up, so okay, here's the thing. And then that's where the social media came in. So I said, I really want to break up, and then I was crying and everything. I was like, I want to accept this. I don't want to break up. I was like,
that's what my first was like.
I had that.
You don't accept, because if I'm saying that we are not dating anymore, it's no wait, we are dating anymore. One person doesn't want to, we're not going to do it, right?
You're
and it was
sorry,
like,
bro,
no, it's not going to happen, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, well, so just give me some time. It was like, what do you mean some time? I was like, just let's take some time, not talking. I'm going to take things down on social media. So I convinced him, and then I took everything down on social media. And then, because I was like putting pictures all the time and like relationship on Facebook. So I just took everything down, and then after 3 or 4 weeks, we talked again. I was like, well, I think it's clear we are not dating anymore. And then that happened. But that was stressful. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna be like Beth and tell the less dramatic one because the other breakups were like.
It's not the vibe.
Yeah, not the vibe. So the way I asked this guy out was, would you want to date me? Yes, circle yes or no.
Oh no.
Right there. So yes, we dated. And then I was like, I liked the way what he was wearing.
Very efficient.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh, I wasn't feeling it. So we like broke up. And then he came to school with he was wearing a chain.
Yeah.
He's a white boy. He was wearing a chain. And then I'm like, ooh, I like that. Let's go back out together.
No, that is hilarious.
It was so when we broke up, it was just like, I was just like, my friend's like, why did you break up with him? I was like, he just doesn't dress normal.
A good reason.
And then she's like, what? Which is not a good enough reason. You should break up. And then he came to school, and then he was wearing a chain, I don't know. It looked. I say a chain, but it was probably like just a normal necklace. And I was like, oh yeah, I think we go back out. And he's just like, no.
Oh.
And I was like, okay.
Dang, you got rejected. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I think I definitely relate. My first one was kind of similar, where I was like, I kind of was about to break up with them, and then we were like, oh, let's just like carry on dating, but be less intense. Like, he was like, I'll literally treat you like you're just my friend, basically, but we're still dating. And I was like, okay. And then that like went for like 3 weeks, and we were long distance, and I hadn't spoken to him for 2 weeks. And I was like, yeah, I feel really good about this relationship now. Like, we're doing really well. Like, I feel really chill. But then obviously on his side, he was like, we haven't spoken for like 2 weeks.
Oh my
And
God.
so it was funny, like, because the first guy that I dated, like, actually all of my boyfriends have been awesome. Like, such a great guy. But then literally I just was like, oh, like, I was not planning on breaking up with him. But then he brought that up at the end of us like talking for like 2 hours. And then it was like, it just suddenly came out, and I was like, I don't think I have the capacity to be like in a relationship because I have so much on and like that kind of thing. And so we broke up, and like I remember he like started crying, and then it is that thing where it's like you feel so bad seeing someone hurt, and so I started crying, like literally sobbing. And then the worst part was then that he like, this is just like again like example of like how solid he was, is he then literally started being like, Naomi, like, I just want you to know this isn't like your problem. It's not your fault. Like, it's not that you have commitment issues. Like, you're awesome, and whoever ends up with you is like the luckiest person in the world. Like, and was just like saying all of this like really nice positive stuff. Yeah, was just saying all of this positive stuff, and I then just was like bawling because I was like, I'm like breaking up with you, and you're being nice to me.
Oh.
So it was like, yeah, I remember that being really sucky. And I remember I was supposed to see someone the day after, like a friend who was a guy. And just like, even though it was like, we were really clearly just friends, like me and this guy, I like canceled. I was like, I'm really sorry. I'm not in a state to like hang out with someone, because I just felt so bad. I was like, oh. So
Dang.
breakups are hard, you know?
Yeah.
Breakups are hard.
Don't wish it on
First kisses
anybody.
are difficult to navigate. Periods.
Entertaining.
Almost a lifelong struggle. Not your whole life, but
It gets
almost.
better, girls. It gets better.
Yeah. But this has been such a fun episode. I just want to
Yeah,
thank
for
you
sure.
guys for joining the whole series of Girl Talk.
Yes.
Like we've had a blast. Obviously, this is the first time we've done this. Hopefully,
Yeah.
you guys have enjoyed it, learned something from it. We wanted to end with something light and fun. We are planning on doing a second series.
Yes.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed, we are going to have a second series.
Yes.
So keep your eyes out for that. And yeah, we hope that you guys just like have had fun, learned some stuff, and go crush it now in your
Yes.
day to day. Hit school, hit wherever you're going. I don't know. Enjoy your life and thrive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm so
last
sad.
episode.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
It's
I kind
so
of missed it.